Oh. Oh God. What the fuck happened last night? Oh yeah, that's right. I rewatched The Hangover Part 2. Oh.
He's going the distance. He's going for speed.
What is up, and welcome to another edition of Worth a Watch with me, Anthony Flores. This is going to be my review for the little movie film, The Hangover Part 3. Right off the bat, I will say this to you. This movie did not suck in comparison to The Hangover Part 2, which was an abysmal carbon copy of the original, and while I did laugh a good chunk of the time, mainly because of Jeong in that movie, it's awful for the most part. Revisiting it, yeah, it's just, oh God. But the original still holds up. The original, in my opinion, is the best one of the three. In terms of the story, we got ourselves a very, very different one at that. There is no hangover. There is no crazy party. There's no drunken good times to be had here. It is a dead serious type of movie, actually. It actually takes itself so seriously in terms of the threats that are in this movie. Just mildly connecting itself to the first film, John Goodman, the bad guy for our movie this time around. And he wants Mr. Chow, played by Jeong. He wants him because he stole $21 million from him, and he knows that the wolf pack has had connections with him. So he kidnaps the wolf pack on the road because of Alan's erratic behavior. They were on the way to send him off to a psychiatric institution in Arizona. But then this whole literal dent in this whole story here is that they have to be the ones to find Chow, bring him to John Goodman there, and that's where we have our movie. The craziness of going to different places such as Mexico and back to the infamous location that is Las Vegas from the original film, and a lot of dark comedy ensues. This is straight up a dark comedy. This is no longer the playing for laughs type movie we saw in the original and the second one. This is kind of on the edge of your seat thrilling if you kind of look at it. I commend the writers, the director Todd Phillips, for trying something completely different in terms of this lighthearted, over-the-top, crazy comedy franchise. They actually made these characters, tossed them in to a setting of trying to find someone, mainly because they could die. They could get shot up and killed by John Goodman if they do not bring Mr. Chow back to him. And there's some legit consequences here, especially the collateral that is Doug. Once again, unfortunately, he kind of gets the shaft and he is just on the sidelines, but it doesn't matter. Justin Bartha does good with what he can. But in this time around, Zach Galifianakis and Jeong are this movie. They gave a shit, it looks like, to put all the effort they could into this movie. Their over-the-top weird qualities in their characters that were established in the first two movies are further exaggerated in this time around. Phil and Stu, played by Helms and Bradley Cooper, they're kind of going through the motions. And that's not a terrible thing because technically they're not really having fun here like the last time. Galifianakis' character is just so deadpan that it doesn't really matter what situation you put him in, whether it's life-threatening or party time. It doesn't matter. He's the same kind of person no matter what. The only difference this time around is he's a lot more erratic and just a bit more mean-spirited. Phil and Stu, they're the same guys who really just do not want to be in the situation. They are more logical and more thinking, we don't want to be doing this shit. We don't want to be here. So I can definitely see why people think they're kind of going through the motions, which kind of makes sense for the characters. Who wants to be in that kind of situation where a madman steals from another madman and then wants said person back in front of them so they can get their money that was stolen back from them? There's an actual legit story here to be told. It's not just another drunken night where they wake up and have to piece everything together, which unfortunately that not being present in this movie kind of makes the whole movie a little bit less enjoyable to watch. For those of you who definitely do enjoy the party genre type movie, you may hate this movie. And another reason to hate this movie, again, going over the negatives here, if you hated Jeong's character, Mr. Chow, from the first two movies, you're going to unfortunately hate this movie all the same because he's literally the center of the movie and mainly the reason why there even is a movie at all. So That's a thing, that it's such a change up from the original two films, and there's actually a much darker tone, and not everything is played up for laughs. A lot of things are more serious. And something like Horrible Bosses, that's legit dark comedy territory right there. The positives, I still laughed. I still had a good time with this movie. It kind of reminded me, as I said, of Horrible Bosses, maybe even a little bit of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. There's humor bits sprinkled around here, and the Wolfpack characters and everyone from The Hangover is put into this movie. But instead of a party movie, this is more of a thriller film. So they're kind of put into a situation that we're not used to seeing them in. Returning cast members Mike Epps is Black Doug, and Heather Graham is Jade from the stripper from the first film. All do great work. And the newcomers to the film franchise here, Melissa McCarthy in her cameo role, also does a really great job. And John Goodman, sadly he didn't have a whole lot more to do either, but he was good for what he could do with the role. And overall, the story is different. The fun times are not really here anymore. It's all about trying to save their own lives and trying to survive and trying to find Mr. Chow. That's pretty much the whole thing. Bottom line, it's just so different, and some people can hate that for it. And I'm just happy to see these characters on screen yet again. As I said in my part 2 review, I just enjoy these characters. I like seeing their camaraderie. I do enjoy that aspect of the film. It's still there once again, but I will just say it's not the best movie of the year or anything. It's just a fun, mediocre comedy with a lot of dark elements to it. And for those of you who do not like thriller films, or you don't like the fact that they change so much for this film, maybe just wait for a rental, if anything. But other than that, if you're a die-hard comedy fan, or if you love the Hangover series, if you love any of these actors, any of those reasons at all, then of course see it in the theater. But my personal rating for this movie is a solid 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it for what it was. I did have some good laughs. I thought I was actually on the edge of my seat with some of the action scenes that went down, and there's a good amount of twists and turns as well. So it's not a awful movie by any means. It's just so in the middle of everything. Hopefully I got my point across here in my review. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Feel free to comment below, but don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and all that other good stuff in between. So until next time, I'm Anthony Flores with Worth a Watch, and keep going to the movies.